Hello, I'm Jerry Scheidbach, pastor at the Lighthouse, your brain masseur. Dealing with the Donald. Hey, did the 10th GOP debate begin the toppling of the Donald? Cruz and Rubio finally took it to the schoolyard bully and laid some blows on him that shook him up. In segment 1 of my latest Brain Massage show, I offer some analysis of that GOP debate in Houston, focused on what it shows us about how to deal with the Donald. And here's a summary. On the issue of immigration, let's summarize each candidate's position as it stands right now. Trump says he wants to build a wall, make Mexico pay for it, deport the illegals that are here, but provide a path for the good ones to return and gain citizenship. Rubio says stop the influx of illegals by addressing current policy regarding visas and some other convoluted technical stuff that frankly bewilders those trying to follow him on this. And then after we've done whatever it is he wants to do to stop illegals from getting in, he says let's have a discussion about what to do with the illegals that are here. Now Cruz says let's build a wall, let's fix the problems with visas and so on, let's deport the illegals that are here and enforce the law currently that says if someone comes here illegally, they forfeit any chance for citizenship. Now, you would think that every Tea Party conservative, every constitutional conservative, well, probably every reasonable conservative would tend to agree with Cruz on this. But for reasons that I bring out in segment 2 of my show this week, that isn't the case. But let's take a look at how Cruz and Rubio took it to the Donald. Rubio won on style. Cruz won on substance. As a general observation, aside from the main point here, most of us probably enjoyed Rubio's boyish grin and smiling banter with Trump as he pressed Trump into the corner of the ring and delivered jab after jab upon his glass jaw. And the glass jaw of Trump, remember, from earlier shows, is his record. Now, on the other hand, it was Cruz, however, who delivered the glass-shattering blows. I mean, it's like Rubio set him up with stylish jabs while Cruz then delivered the haymakers with substantial arguments against Donald's glass jaw, which is his record. Rubio jabbed. Trump hired illegals to work some of his projects. Ducking Donald bobbed and weaved, explaining his rationalization for breaking those laws and hiring illegals. It was seasonal work, he said. No one else was available to work in these, quote, hot sections of Florida. So law only applies when it's not too hot. Rubio does not let him off the ropes. Quote, I think that if you're going to claim that you're the only one that lifted this into the campaign, that you acknowledge that, for example, you're the only person on this stage that has ever been fined for hiring people to work on your projects illegally, end quote. Well, Trump steps to his left deftly to dodge the blow. Shifting the focus, he interrupts Rubio and he says, no, I'm the only one on this stage that has hired people. You haven't hired anybody. And then in the applause, Trump, sensing he has an opening here, drives it home, interrupting again and says, and by the way, I've hired tens of thousands of people over at my job. You've hired nobody. Rubio, undaunted, smiling, counterpunches. Yes, you've hired 1,000 from another country. And Trump, as if he senses what's coming next, frantically flails about, you've had nothing but problems with your credit cards, etc. Yeah, he used the words etc. So don't tell me about that, he says. So you see what I mean? Dealing with Donald, he's a snide, snarky little man who resorts to personal insults when he gets cornered. Exactly like the bullies you might remember at school. Ducking Donald gets nasty and he goes for the low blow. But Rubio is posing a legitimate question here. Rubio, unscathed by this weak, frantic flurry of personal insults, bears down on Trump, pushing him hard against the ropes, smiling and coming at him. Loved it. And he says, He hired illegals and paid $1 million fine for the crime, something to that effect. Well, what can Trump do, right? I mean, he's on the ropes, and this little guy has got him pinned. So Ducking Donald does what Ducking Donald always does. He goes to the role of the bully. He starts bullying the little guy. Here's 6'2" Trump, towering over, short. What's Rubio? 5'10". And here's what Trump says: "You haven't hired one person, you liar." Wow, that's right. Big bad Trump calls babyface Rubio a liar. Right there on the stage in national TV. For what lie? And I'm thinking, wow, Trump just called his debate opponent a liar. Can you believe that? What a low-class thing to do. Huh. No, let's use Trump's words to describe what Trump did. That was not a very nice thing to do, to call someone a liar only because you don't like them telling the truth about you. To his credit, Rubio ignores the false accusation that he lied, and Rubio presses him on this. Speaking to the audience now, he says he hired workers from Poland, and he had to pay $1 million or so in a judgment from, and then Trump interrupts again. That's wrong, totally wrong. Rubio comes right back with, that's a fact. People can look it up. I'm sure people are Googling it right now. Look it up, Trump Polish workers. You'll see $1 million for hiring illegal workers on one of his projects. He did it. That happened. Good for Rubio. And over the applause, Trump says, I've hired tens of thousands of people over my lifetime, tens of thousands. But this time, Rubio would not yield the last word to Trump, and that's something else you've got to do with this guy. You can't let up on him. You have to keep backing him up. So Rubio says, yeah, well, many from other countries instead of hiring Americans. And Trump clearly flustered now. I mean, he's really sweating it out. All he can say is, be quiet, just be quiet. I mean, it was just absolutely delectable seeing Trump sweat like that. So one thing we learned from this debate is that Ducking Donald can be beat. Now, you'll have to compromise your manners a little bit to deal with a bore like Donald. And you'll notice he always takes the last word. You ever notice that? He'll steal the last word in every exchange. It's too bad after Trump threw a parting shot, when the referee breaks up two boxers that are tangled up with each other, and as the one boxer's backing away, the cheater throws a cheap shot at him. That's Trump for you. That's the way he behaves. And I'm like, yeah, you lawbreaker, imagine this guy, blowhard on immigration, hiring illegals himself, breaking the law he tells us he's going to enforce. How are you going to enforce a law that you yourself break when you think it's convenient for you? And of course, Street Fighter Trump would no doubt come off with another effort to steal the last word, and the moderator would finally have to step in and to break this thing up. I'd love it if one of these guys would say something to the effect of, excuse me, this is a debate. I was the one being asked the question. He doesn't get the last word. Now, you got to do that smiling, Have you noticed he does that? Bully Trump. Well, he called me a liar a little bit ago, so let me give him a little bit of his own. I'll call him a bully. The difference being that I didn't lie, but he is a bully. So he gets some of his own here. Big bad bully Trump steals the last word in virtually every exchange. Well, this was my question, so I'm going to take the last word, Mr. Trump. And here it is. You're right, Trump. You have hired a lot of people, and I've hired some people, but not nearly as many as you have. But I've never hired an illegal, and you have. I didn't break the law. You did. And I don't trust you to enforce laws you break. Laws that you rationalize breaking. You rationalize a justification for breaking laws by saying it was too hot in Florida. Well, what are you going to do when it gets too hot in the White House? Okay, no time to show how Cruz delivered the master blow that cracked Trump's glass jaw. You'll need to listen to the full audio version of the latest Brain Massage show or read the text. God complained that Judah made themselves kings, but not by me, he said in Hosea 8:4. Certainly, God gave to Israel the power to appoint rulers. But they abused that right, and so finally lost their liberty to oppressors. Likewise, God has given to America the power to appoint our rulers, but he requires us to do it by him. If we continue to abuse that right, we will lose it, and we will be given over to the power of oppressors. That's something to think about.